Yes. So yesterday we looked at a few things. We did some revision on how to append, which we did the previous day as well. So just to build some more knowledge muscle on that. Okay. We also had some new knowledge on how to, do some hidden functions, use some hidden functions in Excel. One of them is how we could easily fill up numbers however we want them to be filled very quickly. We looked at, say, okay, so if I delete that, say you want to fill from 1 to 1,000, of this column, and you don't have time, you've got a time limit to quickly do that. The quick way to do it, we discovered yesterday, is to, hover your cursor on this such that you can form that plus sign at the bottom right corner of the first one that you filled. So if you drag down once, drag back up, and drag back again and release it, you see this little icon, which it calls autofill options. It shows, and if you click on that, you get a few options. The first one, which it has already picked for me, says copy cells, and that's why it's copied, one on the second cell, because it's copying from the first one that I filled. But that's not what I want. I want it to fill series, and now it's changed it to 2. Now, what I expect this to do is to bring a dialog box where I can, give it some command that, okay, fill about 1,000 rows up for me, and I want an increase of increment. I want it to be filled incrementally of 1 or more, however you want it. But it's not doing that, so I'm forced to just drag this and just keep dragging until to the point where I want it to get to. I see that's how it works for me, in my own Excel sheet. It could be different for you, but yes, even if I had to drag down 1,000,000 rows, that has not really taken too much of my time. It's still far better than me filling, typing 1, 2, 3, 4 and having to fill 1,000, So that was one we looked at yesterday. We looked at dates as well. We started, if I, take these out, we started by putting in, say, the first date of, say, 01/01/2023, and, control enter that to stay in the cell. So if we drag this down, we find Excel just assumes that you want to fill each day. So it just increases on a daily basis for you. So if that's what you want, fine. But what if that's not what you want? So whatever it is you want, you just, fill your first there's something I actually didn't, remember to show now. So I'm going to do that again. So after, dragging down to feel like it has filled now, again, we see that autofill option icon there. So if we click on it, you can actually, choose the option that you want. Fill series is what it has picked. And that's why it's filling it up in series and increasing it by 1 each time, So you could decide to fill days, which is still the same thing, or fill weekdays. And we see a bit of a change there. It removes all the weekends and fills just the weekdays. Fill months, starts to fill the first of each month, for you. And fill years would, fill the first of each year, which is one option one of the brothers on the call, got yesterday. I was telling if that person is here that this might have been the option that was chosen. That's why you've got a yearly increase, in what you've got, So say that's not what I want. Say, let's go back to field series. So say I want the last day of each month now. So if I delete that and I put, say, 31st of January now. Okay, so Control Enter to stay on there. Okay, so if I drag down, I mean, it does what it would normally do, which is to fill the series. The next day will be 1st of February, and so on and so forth. But that's not what I want. I want the last day of each month. So if I come here and choose fill month, it would change that to the last day of each month, And then we looked at custom list, the term called custom list, or the function rather called custom list in Excel. Okay, say if I delete that again, so say you filled January in, even if you use the short form of it, it will still work. So if I say January and I decide to drag down again, it just automatically knows that it should be February, March, April, and so on. And the same goes for days of the week as well. So if we, just put month, Control Enter, delete the rest. Okay, so I stay here. So if I drag down, it knows to do that. And that's because within Excel, there's the default on the custom list function where these have already been put there by default. So how we access that we saw yesterday, such that if you've got, say, the names of employees where you work, and you want a quick method where if you fill the first person's name, Excel knows to fill the rest of them up, however many, for you, so that you don't have to do this every time. And we say how to access that is you come to File and you go to Options, and in Options we go to Advanced. And in Advanced, if we scroll down almost to the bottom, we see where we see Edit Custom List here. And in Edit Custom List, we can see the list that were already there. So Monday, Tuesday, shortened forms, the full written forms, and the months as well, in those different forms that they are written are already here. And that's why January, February gets filled, automatically when you drag your cursor down. And yesterday we created this, and how we did that was we clicked on New List so that we can add our new entry. Add your new entry and click on Add. After clicking Add, you click OK, and you OK that, and that's automatically, creates that for you. And I believe we did something on Flash Fill as well, where we were able to, help Excel to see the pattern we are trying to create, and it just guesses it and does whatever it is you did. Yesterday we had we gave it Davolio Nancy, and when we use the Flash Fill is under Data, Data Tools, and it's that one there, Control E. So we did that yesterday with this, and we created the email as well. So that's a quick, not too quick. I think I went into a lot of details so that we can get this on record. But yes, that's what we did yesterday. And any question on that? Is there still anything that's not clear on what I've explained so far? So I would assume that we are all fine. Am I still on? Can we hear me?
Yes, you are. We can hear you. Yeah, we can.
Yes, very.
Okay, all right. Thank you. Okay, so that's what we did yesterday, and then we, of course, we went into how to append, and we relearned that. So very quickly today, let's look at more functions that we can do around here, that can be useful. Okay, so there's something called named ranges. Okay, so if I pick this cell, because I'm on here, which is column A, row 2, if we look in this box here, name box, it says A2. So I've just picked a cell. If I drag down, I picked a couple of cells there, and those are range of cells, So I've picked from A2, to A11. That's how Excel will name it for you. So, but within your formula, say I decided to, do a sum, a calculation here, say equals sum, and I just want to sum, for example, this, and I enter that. Okay, so see, if we look in the formula box, or the formula bar here, Excel has put a range of A2 to A15. That's a range. Okay, but there's a way we could have made this formula look more understandable, such that rather than having the range being put within this box, we would have the name of the range. Okay, so this column here, the name of it is number, and I want the whole of this column to be named that. I don't want the range A1 to A1000. I want whenever I'm using it in a formula, I want it to be seen as number. Okay, so what I will do to make that happen, there's more than two ways actually. But the fastest way to get this done is I would, from the top, from the column header itself. So I would pick this, the whole range that I need to name. I'll pick all of that. Then I will come into this name box here. Yeah. And I'm going to give that, call it number. And I'll enter that. Okay. Such that anytime I'm working with this, it should pick number for me. Okay. Don't think that has worked. Let's see. Okay, actually, see. So I've just clicked on number now, and it's recognized as I'm talking about this cell range here. Okay. Another way to achieve that is to, again, pick the whole of that, pick it as well as the header. Then if we come under data, let me see, I'm trying to remember where we come under now. If we come under, it should be data. Okay, actually formulas, sorry. If we come under formulas and we look at defined names, under defined names, formulas, defined names. So it would be create from selection. I think this is one. I can't, yeah. It would be create from selection. Sorry, I haven't done this in a long while. Okay. So, and it opens that, create names from the selection. Okay. And I'm saying create names from the values in the top row. So I want you to give it the name of that top row. Okay, there. So, and I will okay that. So if I come here, dates has also been picked, okay? So date has also been, created, such that if I now, get this formula in, so let's redo this. So if I say equals sum, where I want from here. Okay. It should be giving me some numbers, not some of that, not some of the A2 to A26. What I expect to have here is some bracket, some of numbers, so to say. So let me look at what
You have to select from the drop down where you put the formula.
Okay.
Or just put number in that formula. Put number now.
Okay.
But I think it has to have semicolon, right? Because it has to have this. Okay. Oh, without, it doesn't have semicolon. Yeah. Okay.
No, I think it will work. So because okay. I'm picking it, and it's actually brought it as an option anyway.
Okay. Okay.
And it's also highlighted that.
Okay.
So if we did that, so the sum of numbers is that much. That's what 1, 2, 3, 500,000. 500 is, and we can see this is what I wanted us to see. Okay, so rather than having sum of A2 to A1000, we have sum of number. So that makes easier sense, to somebody that is trying to understand that number, or whichever one, So one of the primary reasons why name ranges are used is just for ease of understanding formulas, and it's also for ease of access. So say I'm on another sheet now, I could easily come here, say I came on sheet 3 now. I could easily come here and just go on number, and it brings me straight to the sheet where number is. And it highlights that number as well for me. Thank you very much, Bro Tolu, for stepping in there, because I don't normally use these functions, but I know I've seen them, done before. So yes, so it's good to know that when you're using it, just type out the number, the name of the range, not necessarily come here to highlight again. That would, that would work. One other thing we can quickly look at is data validation. How data validation is where you put some command, so to say, into your worksheets, such that when data is being entered, you restrict what can be entered into a certain cell. So say this says numbers, okay? We code this such that when we use data validation, such that anything that's not numeric cannot be entered here, just to safeguard the occurrence of error that could occur. We make this, it's a date column, so we put some check in here such that anything that's not date related cannot be entered, into here. And anything that's not whatever you have put in the list, for months from January to December cannot be, such that somebody cannot just come and enter the name of a person where there should be months. And it just helps to improve our data quality, the quality of our worksheets, and the integrity as well, of what we have within each column. How can that be done? So if we go into under data, It's still under data tools where we had flash fill yesterday. Okay. There is this one that is called data validation. So if I click on actually, let me hover on that so that we can read what it says. It says, pick from a list of rules to limit the type of data that can be entered in a cell. For example, you can provide a list of values like 1, 2, and 3, or only allow numbers greater than 1,000 as valid entries, okay? So you are validating what type of data can be entered into a particular cell or a range of cells, okay? And sometimes, and it's according to the rule that you put there. Sometimes you could actually put rules that, you've got a list of drop down of the items that should go into a particular cell. So you can just, put the drop down there. Well, I think we should just practicalize everything to see how, how it can work. So let's use, I'm going to delete this and that as well. Okay. So I'm coming here. Actually, I'm coming here and under data, we go into data tools and we come to data validation. So I'm going to click on data validation and it says settings, validation criteria, allow, at the moment it says allow any value. And that's why we can put anything here and it will be fine, okay. But if we want to now start setting, we can pick any of these, okay. Only allow whole numbers there such that decimals don't have a place there. Or you've got a list that you have created. Example would be maybe the names of employees in a place. You don't expect any other name apart from the names of employees that are there. So this would be from this list, only select, from the list, okay. Again, for this column now, if we put date here, we will be right, okay. Sometimes it could be time or text length. That is, if you've got how many lengths of character, for whatever value you're bringing in, then it won't take any more than that. And sometimes you're allowed to customize, So if I put whole number, and so let me select a range of cells. Okay, not as much as this actually. Just want a couple of, maybe five to play with. If we come to data validation, and we say that one, and all we want is whole number. Let's put whole number. Okay. Data, now we've got more options. Data between, okay, so data either between, not between, equal to, not, so you can choose whichever one works for your situation or your report. Between, okay, minimum or maximum. If you've got the data, the number written or typed somewhere where you can pick it, or maybe the data changes, so you've got somewhere where it's typed and you can change it there anytime. So you don't want to hard code it in. We can always go into the cell, wherever it is, and pick it, from there. Well, I don't have that, so I'm going to put number there, minimum of 100 and maximum of maybe 1,000. Okay, it's not letting me do that, so I've got to have it somewhere because apply these changes to all other cells with the same settings. Okay, maybe not. Let's okay that and see what happens. Okay, so I'll okay this. Okay, so if I come here now and I enter something like 99, okay. Okay, so it's not letting me enter 99 because of the rule I've put in. It says this value doesn't match the data validation restrictions defined for this cell. I've told it to only allow minimum of 100 and a maximum of 1,000. Okay, so I cancel that. Okay, now, okay, how about I put 5,000 and let's see if it will let me. Again, it won't let me because that's more than 1,000. Okay, so I cancel that. How about I put 100? It lets me put in 100 because 100 is allowed, you know, in here. And anything between 100 and up to 1,000 would easily enter here. Okay, so this is just a way of me ensuring, especially in data entry projects, you know, it just ensures that human error due to data entry is very limited. Any mistakes that could happen are reduced, you know. Let's do dates. Let's remove this and see how dates would work. So if I come here now, data validation, and I'm saying I only want dates in this. And the date should be, okay, the date should be between, what's my start date? The date should be between 01/01/2023, okay? And end date should be 31/12/2023. So this data should be only for those dates within this year. We don't want anything outside the year. So I'm putting this validation check in it to ensure that that's what's happening. So I say okay to that. Okay. So if I now come here and decide to put 31/12/2022, actually, not 2000, 2022, and okay, that it's telling me this value doesn't match, you know, it's not something I can enter there. But if it's something that's within 12/04/2023, if it's something within 2023, it allows it to go in there. Okay, so where we don't want to necessarily use a custom list to work things out, or yeah, another way we could do that is to have a drop down already. So if I put this, let me cut this out and put it on another sheet. Say I've got it here. So if we come back here, right, and let me pick all of that. We come back and we just want to use a drop-down list now to see how that will work. So I'm going to say that I've got a list, and the source of the list is asking where is the list. So I'm going to, you know, navigate to where the list is, and I'll pick that list up. Okay, so I've picked it, and I'll say okay. Okay, so I want to okay that. So immediately that happens, we can see there's a drop-down arrow here. So anytime I'm entering for the ranges I've picked, the cells I've picked, anytime I'm entering, I can't just type in and it will allow me. No, it won't allow me, okay? Because I've said you can only put data here that is within my list. And if I click that drop down, I can see, okay, it's Kane I want to enter here. Okay, this record is for James, you know. Okay, this record is for whoever, Peter, and it goes so data validation is a very important tool or function within Excel that could make our work very easy to do. Have we got any questions?
Just a very quick one, Sister Debbie.
Yeah.
Under named ranges,
Yeah.
you were saying that it's for ease of understanding of formulas.
Yes.
And ease of, the second
For
one.
easy access.
Okay, easy access.
Yeah. So say you are on another sheet. Say I came here, but I want to navigate. Say I've got so many sheets here, and I've navigated away, and I want to come back to that exact column date. If I come down here, wherever I am, whichever tab I'm on, if I, click down there, the drop down, you can see all of your named ranges, and I can easily pick that, and it brings me to that column where I've named it straight away. So for ease of access.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay. Any other question? If there isn't any, I want us to quickly do one. You know how we learned how to append within within Power Query. How about we quickly look at how to merge? Let's say within the next 10 minutes. I don't want to take too much of our time. Okay. So we want to see how to merge queries so that we know how to combine our queries. We have finished working on it. So we can append, which is, increasing the rows, and we can also merge, which is increasing the columns now. So if I go into our query, which we had before, we're just gonna do everything within the same, within here. I don't want to open another one. And I'm just going to bring in a new source. I'm going to bring in I think it's Excel. I'm going to bring in yeah, not this one. If it's not, okay, yeah. I want to bring in data and personnel. Okay, I've not opened them before, so I'm not sure what I'll find, in them, but we'll see. So I bring that in, and it's saying general data, and we can see what we have, the preview of what we have there. So I'll okay that so that I can bring it into our Power Query. Okay, so general data. I'll go back to that same and bring the personnel, in. No, I need desktop. Okay. Again, we see a preview, of what we've got, and I'll okay that so that it brings it in. All right, I'll open the first one. It says general data, and we can see that Excel has done, Power Query rather has done a few steps on it to make it look readable, for us. Okay, so all right, I'm going to uncheck this valid error empty. I'm going to uncheck that for a minute. Normally I don't leave it on. Okay, so let's have a look at this data set and see if we understand just a practice of our, understanding data skill. Do we understand what this data set is about? We've got email address, we've got name, title, middle initial, address, city, zip code, phone number, gender. Okay, date of birth, last checkup. Okay, I think there's a kind of a keyword there that could give us a preview to what sort of data this could be.
Like a GP surgery record.
That's something like that, is what I'm thinking. Okay.
Yeah.
Now, all of these ones, there is all null. So yeah, nothing's in all of these ones. So I'm going to take all of them out. Okay. So if we go into personal, okay, now we start to see information on occupation, blood type. Okay, so we weight, all right, height, CC type, CC expires, and we've got all these empty columns. Okay, so I'm going to take those out again as well. Okay, so what do we pick from this one? I know it says personal, but is there a more information on what sort of data that this could be?
Like a medical record.
Medical record. Then it gives. We do give them information on our occupation, don't we?
Yeah, because they want to know how strenuous your occupation is, whether you're sitting down there.
Right. I was wondering occupation, but I see that. Okay. All right. So if we compare the two, I've got email address. So we want to use this to practice how to merge queries, how to merge our tables. Okay. We said when we appended, the number of rows increased. But now when we merge, the number of rows would remain the same, but the number of columns would increase. If we look at general data and we look at the profile just down here, it says 12 columns and quite a lot of rows, but there's 12 columns. If we look at personal, it's got 7 columns, okay? So, but I see some columns that are common to both. For example, we got email, but in personal, we don't have those names, last name, and all of that. We don't have that, And in general, we don't have occupation, we have address and all of this. So basically, it's just email address that's common between them. The rest of the columns here are not, on here. And we've said this is general data, okay? So maybe there's a requirement that says everything that's personal must also be within general data. So we've been tasked with the work to look into how every information within personal gets into general data as well. So we'll be looking at how to merge the two, okay? How to bring everything here that is not in general data into general data. But that is gonna be hard if we don't have something that's linking them, okay? General data has got email address. Personal data has got email address. To a very high extent, email addresses are unique to each person. Each time we open a Yahoo, you want to use your name, however much is your name, to open maybe a Yahoo or Gmail account. If someone else who bears your name has taken it, you don't get to use that email address. You are told to put some numbers or some special characters or whatever it is to make it unique to you. So this is where we don't have something that's an ID, so to say, quote, email addresses can be used because they are also very unique, and that's why it's going to be possible for us to merge this table with this table, okay? So how we do that is, we've done it a couple of times, on here when we were doing Northwind and other things. Please, who can remind me how to merge queries? I need help.
Go to home.
Home, yes,
Merge queries.
right. Thank you. I'm going to merge this as new, just so we see the difference, yeah? So I'll merge it as new. Okay, I'm here now. What next?
Yeah, click on the drop down. Yeah.
Okay,
And we want personal.
that's right.
Then the common stuff to both of them is the email address.
That's right. So I picked those two. And our join kind, we say we are using the left outer join. Left outer brings everything that's in our first table, you know, and looks for where we match. And we can bring those things that are not in the first table, but are in the second table in, you know. The left being the first that you chose. So our left here is the general data, okay? So I'm going, and it's telling us here, where we see a green check mark, the selection matches 1,106 of 1,106 rows from the first table. And that's good news for us. So I'll okay that. And what it does is that a third one is created because I merged as new. Okay. So if I scroll to the right, it's brought in the whole table. The personal, table is brought everything in. We can see table, table, table. And we can see at the side there, those two little arrows facing opposite directions, okay? So we can, expand by clicking on here. We expand the table, and we can see if we are bringing everything in, then select all. But we don't need to bring everything in because we've got email address on here already. So there's absolutely no need to have double email address. Anything that you have in your first table already, I would uncheck it and bring in those, information that we don't have. And I will remove this because it just complicates the name of each column for us, okay? So I'm happy with what I've got here. I'm just gonna okay that, and it brings all of those columns that we decided to bring. It brings them in, okay? Occupation is now in, blood type is in, weight, height, CC type, CC expires, so it's all now in, okay? Now, the initial general data that we started with had 12 columns, okay? But this new one, merge, has 18 columns. And that's because we brought in 6 more columns, from here. But the number of rows remain the same. That's the difference between append and merge. Do we have any question? Any question at all on how to merge?
No questions on how to merge, but just out of curiosity, which one would you refer to as a fact table and the dimension table between general data and personal data?
Okay, now let's look at what is happening within the table. Okay, that's what would help us to answer that question. Let's look at what's recorded, because our definition of facts table is events are recorded in there. Okay, so I'm looking through. All I see is email address, surname, first name, title, telephone number, gender, date of birth, last checkup. Actually, events was recorded in here. This table, it's a hospital or a GP data, isn't it? And it's been recorded that these people came to do their checkup, at some point. So if we are to go back by our definition of what a facts table is, this becomes my facts table for, for that business, because last checkup changes. If I didn't see last checkup, this would just be a lookup table as far as I'm concerned, where I'm just looking at data of people where it's just their information that's recorded. Okay, but it goes beyond that. It gives me the events that concerns that business, and that's about medical checkup, and that's what we've got here. Okay, so I would go with general data is the fact table in this case, and I'm trying to look at this to see if anything. So yeah, CC expire, CC type. This is just a lookup, not a fact table, as far as I'm concerned. Does that make sense to us?
I think I disagree with you for the first time, Sister Debbie.
Okay, let's go.
I will never, you're my guy.
No. You.
I disagree with you.
Okay, what did you say?
The last checkup, right, is just a date. You cannot measure it, really. It's a bit complicated though, because I really want you to help me as well, because a fact table measures a transaction, right, or an event.
Yeah.
So how do we use this to measure now the last checkup date? And that's why I want to differ a bit, because I would rather say the personal one is a fact table, because we have the height that can be measured. We have the weight that can be measured. We can know that these visits, the weight has changed. The person has put on 2 kilos, 3 kilos. So there's a measurement here, and that's why I disagree a bit. It's a back and forth stuff, but you understand?
Let me explain something. Okay.
Sorry, sister, just sorry to cut you short. Just before you do. So it's just that I probably won't have been brave enough to be as direct as Tolu to say that I disagree with you.
What if you don't disagree? You can't take in everything I say.
But somehow I was, all sorts of, you see, because my understanding of the fact table, I think the way I understood it when you explained it, it's almost like an activity, a table that represents activity.
Yeah.
I think the word we used initially was transactions. Then later on, I think you guided us to use events instead of transactions.
Yes.
So it's a table that records activity that could happen over and over again, which is why on that particular table that we used when you were explaining it, there were certain names that were appearing several times,
Yeah.
So it wasn't like, this might not be the right terminology, this might not be the right word, but it wasn't like static data.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to chip this in before you spoke. Is it possible that both of them are actually dimension tables and neither of them is a fact table?
I like your thinking. I like the way you have thought it through. I call this a fact table because it's recording an event that has happened. What do we do here? We do checkups. Where it doesn't completely nail it is the fact that it's called it last checkup. So it would only record just one, the last one that person came for. Okay. If it were just checkups, we could have seen maybe for the whole year, the person have come to check up like twice or thrice or 4 times, and we would have seen the person's name recorded more than once. But for the fact that this course is last checkup, that made that impossible. But I called it the fact table because I see that the activity that that business does is recorded on here. You know, on the issue of measurement, actually we can, you know, we can do some form of measurement. If this table is about, we want to then create or calculate when their next checkup would be. Dates can be used as well in that regard, such that maybe this person's checkup is every 3 months, their last checkup is this, then I can have a duration of, okay, by so dates, they will be doing their next checkup. Okay, so this is where knowing how data works according to the business that you are dealing with also matters, because how it works in sales or retail, you know, is not necessarily how it would work within medicals or within NHS, you know. Where we talk about measure, we can't really, this definitely is a lookup table. We can't use the stuff of weight and height as measure the way that you have described it, Botolu, because this weight is peculiar to the person, one person, okay? This is Bailey Glover, that's her weight. I'm not going to take her weight away from Isabella Fowler's weight as a form of measure. That is her one, and same for height as well. So in that regard, we can't really necessarily call these ones measures in the way that we would have said maybe total amount of sales that was done over time. Okay. I would say to 95% of correction, Mr. Muiwa is right. In the best of description, looking at the fact that there's no repetition of names or names appearing many times, this tends more to be a lookup table. But if we are defining that fact table in terms of what the business does, has been recorded to a good extent, then I would. So there's a form of a gray area, to be honest, with general data. But this confuses me. This makes me tend more to call it fact table. Do you understand? So, yeah, if we call both lookup tables and there's no fact table, we won't be wrong either. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's clear now. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
So, Sister Debbie, can I then ask, is a lookup table the same thing as a dimension table?
It is, yes. It's just name like word and synonym.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Okay. I love those questions. Thank you very much for that. For that brainstorming, the sort of question that gets you looking at your answer again, like, okay. And it can be, you know, it can also be, you know, that sort of, it's really good. It's good because it's a real life thing. That's how it happens, you know, at work. Do we have any further question?